I don't know what I got myself into with this book.
Have some thoughts about these.
But if you are a diehard classic fan, this book is probably not going to be for you.
We're definitely not in Neverland anymore.
Maybe I'm just a sourpuss and don't like happy endings anymore. I don't know.
Hi friends, I thought today I would try my first vlog. So let me tell you why I'm doing this video. A year ago I read Peter Pan. Look at this beautiful cover. Isn't that so pretty? It's like the chalkboard penguin edition or something like that. I read this, I just happened to pick it up at Five Below, and I really enjoyed this book. And a couple months later, I picked up Darling Girl by Liz Wachowski, I think that's how you say it. And I really, really enjoyed this book. It's an adult retelling of Peter Pan, and I thought, wouldn't it be fun to read more retellings of Peter Pan? And so I already had this one on my physical TBR. This is Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell, which is a Disney retelling. And I read this last month in August. It's currently September while I'm filming this. And I just wanted to keep going. So in this video, I also picked up Hooked and The Never King. And I really have some thoughts about these.
Hey, so today it has been raining all day. We woke up to thunderstorms at like 6 this morning, and it has been nonstop pouring, and I love it. It's about 1:30 right now. I just put some banana bread in the oven, and I thought it would be a perfect time to pick up a book and read. So I'm reading Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell, and I'm so excited to get into it. I can't read with my dust jackets on. I just feel like I'm gonna damage them if I do. So that always comes off. But here we go. This dedication is so cute. It says, "This book is for my mom and dad who gave me things I truly love, like ducklings and computers, and not small, obnoxious dogs." There's my small but not obnoxious dogs chilling on the couch with me. I'm about halfway through Straight On Till Morning by Liz Braswell, and I'm really enjoying this book. There is a lack of Peter Pan, I will say that, but Wendy and Tinkerbell are putting aside their differences to help find Peter's shadow and essentially find Peter at this point because they can't seem to find him. There is some new characters, old characters, like Tinkerbell, but there's also some additional fairies. and the mermaids do return in this book. Captain Hook, Smee. There are more pirates with names. The Lost Boys are also in this book, so it's been fun to revisit those characters. And then they're a little more fleshed out in this book because there's more pirates with names in this book, and then there are the Lost Boys are all given names and all have speaking parts. I don't remember that from the original Peter Pan. It could have been in there. It's been over a year since I read the original, so but I'm really enjoying this book so far. I don't think it's a 5-star read, but it is good so far. So I'll probably check back in after I finish the book. Good morning. So I finished this book. To be honest, this is my second time filming my thoughts on this because I did finish this a while ago, but I lost that footage. So I'm gonna try to remember everything that I said about this book. If not, you can catch it in my August wrap up. So Straight On Till Morning is about Wendy Darling, and it is kind of classic in the beginning where Peter comes to her window every night and listens to her tell stories about himself, and he loses his shadow. Well, in this book, Wendy has had this shadow for 4 years, and her parents decide that she's getting older. She's 16 in this book, and they want to send her to Ireland as a governess or nanny. So because of that, she decides to take Peter Pan's shadow and use it to buy passage to Neverland through Captain Hook. So that's essentially why she decides to run to Neverland. This book was very good at world building. I feel like it was very fleshed out. The original Peter Pan, it's less than 200 pages. It's a very short book, and there is world building, but not as detailed as in this book. This book introduces new characters, names all of the pirates, names all of the Lost Boys, and introduces more fairies. It's not just Tinkerbell. I think that it does a really good job doing that. I believe that it did showcase the personality of Peter Pan very well. However, because Wendy's older, it does touch on that a lot in the book. It, you know, a lot of characters say, oh, you didn't get to Neverland the normal way, and that's because she's older. The things that I did not like about this book is that Tinkerbell, she starts hitting off Wendy, and then they become fast friends. It's not a bad thing. I just don't feel like it is very true to the Tinkerbell character, because Tinkerbell, because they're fairies, they can only really feel one emotion at a time, and she's jealous of Wendy. And that does come back later on when they find Peter Pan, that Tinkerbell goes back to being jealous. But for a good portion of the book, Tinkerbell and Wendy are friends, and I don't feel like in the classic Peter Pan that would actually happen. I also kind of feel like we were missing the balance of Michael and John in this book, because they don't go to Neverland with Wendy. They're in the novel, but they don't go to Neverland. There's like little glimpses of what's happening in London while Wendy is in Neverland. I guess I just need to look at this as a different novel and not compare it to the classic. But if you are a diehard classic fan, this book is probably not going to be for you. This book focuses more on Wendy and not Peter Pan. I feel like this is Wendy's story more so than Peter Pan, and I say that because he doesn't show up until about 60% into the book. I don't really like the feminist undertones of this book, just because like that's not what I expected when I picked this up. Nothing wrong with it, it's not my favorite thing. I want my characters to struggle a little bit, and there was some struggling. Like Peter Pan definitely struggled, Captain Hook definitely struggled, Wendy did have a hard time in some aspects, but all in all, it was like a happy ending. I guess maybe I'm just a sourpuss and don't like happy endings anymore. I don't know. Something interesting about this book is that it breaks the fourth wall, like the author talks to the reader specifically, because it says, you know, and to you, dear reader. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, overall, I rate this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed the world building, the new characters, the old characters. I didn't like that they weren't necessarily true to themselves, but I think that Liz Braswell did a really good job of this retelling of Peter Pan and this little twist on the original. This morning, I will be starting my next book in my Peter Pan era, and that is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I'm reading this on Kindle Unlimited. I know that this is part of a series, but I don't think that the series follows the Peter Pan story. I think that this follows, like, similar to the Disney tales. I think that these novels are, we're going to talk about Peter Pan in one book and we're going to talk about, you know, Aladdin in another book, or I don't really know what all is in the Emily McIntyre series. So I'm excited to pick this up. This is a little more adult, which is probably more of what I need, because I think I am aging out of the YA group. I do like YA novels, generally speaking, but I have been gravitating more towards adult books this year. Anyway, I'm gonna go start this book and I will check in with you guys in a little bit. This book comes with a recommended playlist on Spotify, and because it's an ebook, it has a link to it. Might give that a listen to later on. How fun! The dedication is for anyone who has been a villain in someone else's story. I feel like we can probably all relate to that. So there is an author's note in the beginning of the book, and it says that this is not a fantasy or a retelling. It is an adult fractured fairy tale. And looks like the main character is going to be Hook, because it says the main character is the villain. I'm here for it. I love reading morally gray characters. Guys, I don't know what I got myself into with this book. I've never read a book like this. It is very dark. Yeah, wasn't expecting this when I went into, I mean, I knew it was adult, and she does say that it's a fractured fairy tale, and she wasn't lying in the little preface that she gave before the book began. So this book is about Wendy Michaels, who's the daughter of Peter Michaels, and Peter is this like big businessman. He's never home. He doesn't really have a relationship with Wendy. So Wendy is one perspective of the book, and then the other perspective is through James, or Hook, and he knows who Wendy is. Well, Wendy happens to wander into his bar one night with her friends, and he is like, I'm gonna make this girl mine so I can get back at Peter, because him and Peter are rivals. It is very revenge driven. I'm only 25% into the book, and I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, I'm really nervous. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I really am liking all the nods to the original fairy tale. Like, the bar's called the Jolly Roger. That is working at the bar named Nibs, and some of the other Lost Boys are mentioned. And Wendy has a friend named Angela, and there's a bartender named Moira. So yeah, I like all the nods to the classic. But yeah, wish me luck with the rest of the book, because I don't know where this is gonna go.
So I'm about 50% into this book, and we just took a turn for the worst. We're definitely not in Neverland anymore. Oh my gosh. I'm super worried for Wendy, and I hope that it works out for her. So far I am liking the plot of the book. I think that it is a very good plot. There's a lot of gore and a lot of dirtiness. I don't know how I'm feeling about that because it does take up a lot of the chapters. Like there's already been about 4 chapters just of dirtiness, and that's not usually how I like my books, but I'm okay with like a little bit of steam, but 4 chapters is excessive and I'm only halfway through the book. So if you like that kind of thing, then this book might be for you, but I will warn you, it's dark. I'm pretty fortunate not to have triggers or mini triggers. But yeah, this book's pretty dark. Anyway, I will check back in once I finish the book. I'm only about 50% in, and hopefully it'll work out for Wendy because I'm a little nervous for her. But I'm glad that there is like a little plot twist because it was not getting boring necessarily, but getting a little more predictable. So this twist I didn't see coming for sure. Also, do you like my Halloween decorations? I put some up around the house, and I think they're super cute.
Oh my god. I can't believe what I just read. I gotta finish it now. I gotta finish it. Good morning. So, as you saw, I just came back from taking the dogs out. Hey, Jasper. Oh, Murphy wants to come say hello too. Last night, I ended up finishing Hooked, and it was okay. Half of the book was smut, and that's just not for me. Like, I need a good plot line. Putting the smut aside, I did enjoy the plot line. There were a ton of twists at the end, which I really enjoyed. Otherwise, it was a little slow because it was focusing more on the relationship between Hook and Wendy. And at the very end, things just kind of blew up. I saw one twist coming, but other than that, everything else was pretty unpredictable. As you saw in the clip, my reaction to the like second or third to last chapter, and like I just had to finish the book because I couldn't put it down at that point, but it took to that point to get there. As far as the smut scenes go, I mean, obviously I don't read a lot of this genre. I mean, don't get me wrong, I do like a little bit of spice in my romances, but this was a little excessive, and what was written was very repetitive, so it kind of took away from how much I actually enjoyed this book. I did end up giving it a 2.5, and something else that really bothered me was Wendy acted like a completely different person when she was around her friends and by herself versus when she was with Hook. The author kind of called herself out on it, saying, you know, Wendy was throwing the old innocent Wendy away after she slept with Hook for the first time. So that kind of bothered me as well. The next book that I'm picking up is called The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. The plot for this book is that every 18th birthday of a darling woman, they are swept away to Neverland and come back and they're crazy. So this story follows Winnie, and Winnie just turns 18. She doesn't believe that this Neverland business is true. She just doesn't want to end up crazy like her mother. Winnie ends up getting taken to Neverland by Peter on the eve of her 18th birthday, and that's where I'm at in the book right now. So I'll check in once I finish it. It's really short. It's only a couple hours on audiobook. I'm listening on Everand, and if you've never heard of this app, it is a great reading app. I'm gonna jump back into Neverland and see what I did there. I'm gonna jump back into Neverland and read some more of The Never King. I got some bookish mail too, so I'm gonna hop on here real quick to show you guys. So I got, this is Professional Bookworm, which I feel like one now that I've started my YouTube channel. And then Booktrovert, how cute is that? I follow a couple craft groups, and this was from a woman that makes shirts and cups. And she was doing a special with like pay this much and get a surprise shirt. So I didn't know what I was getting, and I really like them. So shout out to her if she's watching. She said she's interested in my YouTube channel. So I finished The Never King by Nikki St. Crow, and I actually enjoyed this book. There were some smutty scenes, which fine, whatever, but looking past that, I enjoyed the story. There were suspenseful moments that kind of kept you on your toes. There was a couple twists that I didn't see coming. I liked that it slowly moved the plot line along. The only thing that I didn't really like is that, well, one, it left off on a cliffhanger, which is expected because it's part of a series. I also didn't really like that Winnie is like the chosen one trope, because they all say like, oh, you're different from the other darlings, and yeah, it was not a bad book. I gave it 3.5 stars. I don't know if I'll keep reading this series, but it piqued my interest. The ending was good. I liked that it, you know, kind of added to the lore of Neverland. You don't even get to meet Captain Hook in this book, so I'm sure he's later on in the series. There's like fairy princesses or fairy queens and princes, and there's 7 islands in the Neverland archipelago, I guess, and each island has their own king. So I like the lore that it adds to it. I just wish that they had like talked more about like the Lost Boys. Like they just say there's a bunch of Lost Boys, too many of them to really count, except for like 3 main ones. And I really wish that they had like talked more about like either their back history or more about like their age, because it says that they're super old, but like, do they look, how do they look? Because, you know, Wendy's like 18, so that's easy for me to picture. But they describe Peter Pan as this like hulking man in the doorway, and he's always smoking a cigarette. But I want more like, does he look in his 30s and his 40s? Like, I want to know a little bit more about that. Or like, does he look like a young man like in his 20s? It wasn't a bad one. It wasn't as smutty as Hooked, that's for sure. Probably because it was a much shorter book and you can only fit so much smut into a book. I will say that the smut scenes in this one were not repetitive like I felt like in Hook, so that was better, I guess. Yeah, so those are my thoughts on the book.
Thank you guys so much for watching. I am glad that I had a decent time reading these books. I had 2 3.5s and 1 2.5. I don't personally think 2.5 is a bad rating. Honestly, like when I think about how I rate my books, they all start at a 3, and if I like them, they go up to a 4, and if I love them and I can't shut up about them, then they're a 5. If they're a 2, they're something that I'm willing to finish reading, but it's just not for me. And then a 1, I don't ever give 1s, because if I give them a 1, it's generally like I'm not going to finish it. I just DNF it if it's a 1. So yeah, that's kind of how I do my rating. So I don't think a 2.5 is necessarily bad. It's just not the genre for me. Also, dipping my toes into the romance genre, I feel like I don't know. You guys know the elephant from Tarzan when he's a kid and he's like, does this part look sanitary? It looks questionable to me. That's kind of how I feel about the dark romance genre. But if you guys have any good recommendations for me, please let me know. I have read Still Beating, and now I've read Hooked and The Never King. And honestly, out of those three, I think The Never King was the most enjoyable for me because the other ones just gave me the ick. Um, anyway, thank you so much for watching, and if you are still here, please comment down below a Peter Pan retelling that you think I should read. I know that there's others out there. There is the Stolen, or the Child Thief, and I believe there's a whole series. From doing my research, there's a whole other series that I didn't even touch on. It just seemed like I was hanging out in the dark romance section, and maybe there's better books. But I truly, truly do love this one. It is adult. There's a little bit of romance, but it's not dark, and it doesn't make you feel icky. Like, it's just like a normal mystery with a little bit of romance in it, and I definitely really like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in. I have so many exciting ideas coming up on my channel, so please stay tuned. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, comment, any type of interaction. Thanks guys. Have a good day.